Hotel workers of Reddit, what's the strangest, most disgusting thing you've ever seen happen? Worked at a large hotel. Every year a group of old men rented the top 2 floors of the hotel for a few days. These were all retired judges, lawyers, business owners. They would wear thousands of dollars of jewelry, bring in tons of liquor and other stuff. They would hire a bunch of prostitutes, put them in rooms and post a paper on the door with the description of the prostitute in each room. Basically would have a huge party in every aspect. Have to tell them to stay on their floors, but would have old naked guys be spotted in the elevator or on other floors freaking out other guests. They were big tippers and made for an interesting weekend each year. Edit for typo. Edit 2. Now that you all guessed it. It was the Royal Order of Jesters. I remember their purple and, like I said, all the crazy jewelry they had. Pretty crazy. I can't imagine the amount billed to allow it and turn a blind eye. Obligatory, not a hotel worker, but just a keen traveler wanting to break up the fanciest stories. Stayed in a resort where it was a series of clay huts that comprised the hotel. This was in Namibia. You booked a hut, chill and go about your life. When I arrived I found the door to my hut with scratches on the outside and several bolts. A sign saying do not open at night. Strange. I didn't sleep that night as I could hear a child wailing outside in pain and scrabbling at the door. Once I heard the door trying to be wrenched open. Next morning I spoke to the other guests who had had a similar experience. Turns out that it was monkeys that mimicked human sounds to make people open the door and attack them. Stranger than fiction. Edit. 3 young girls shared a room, were wasted. Next morning they were very quick to check out, not even went for breakfast. Turns out they took dumps all over the room. We blacklisted them and sent their rides to other hotels telling of what happened so they could be aware if they showed up. I don't work for a hotel but for a hotel reservations website. Once got a call from a client who was staying in Thailand, asking to be relocated. When we asked why would he need that, he told us the police was there because the property owner, it was a villa, not a hotel, had murdered her husband and buried him under the villa. When he called us they were there with an excavator and a coroner's crew. On top of that, the villa owner ran away with the client's passport, so they also required consular assistance. Worked in a STTY pub that offered STTY accommodation. A guest rightfully lost their ST after they climbed into bed and found a soiled pair of men's underwear. They fired the housekeeper after that. A guy shot himself in the hotel room and the maids found him. It was a chain hotel which sent their laundry to the hotel I worked for, and days later we received the bedsheets from said room. Obviously covered in blood, and my boss just said, "It is just blood. We won't throw away sheets just because of a bit blood." Little did she know that I threw them away behind her back. I've worked in a fair few of London's most famous hotels as a gardener and have some weird stories about people there. Barbara Streisand always made weird requests. For example, she demanded a fresh roll of turf every day be delivered to her room so her dog could piss tea on it. I also found a huge log of tea inside an interior palm too. It was literally tucked into the crown of the plant like a vigilant guard. A guy calling 5 elite prostitutes in a single night in a very expensive room. He consumed a lot of whiskey and after him there were cocaine traces in the room. He left me a very decent tip. At some point, around 3 to 4 AM, another guy, super drunk, arrived at the reception and told me to look after his friend. You know, he is a cool guy, got a family and everything, but sometimes we just need to relax that way. Obligatory, not me. Mother. Ex-hotel manager. Some guy tea and then pulled some out the toilet and rubbed it on the wall. Known because the wet toilet paper used was all over the floor. The cleaning staff weren't allowed to clean it. Had to get specialists in. Yo, I specialize in tea and tea removal services. I was a night auditor 10 years ago in an airport hotel. We had a pilot staying in our hotel. His name was Trevor. Trevor got drunk and locked himself out of the room just wearing a very tiny piece of underwear. He used the phone of the corridor to call us open his room. Could happen, right? This repeated itself for 3 times. So after the 3rd time we told him that we would not run up to open his room anymore. So after half an hour he came downstairs saying he locked himself out of the room again and that he would spend the night in the lobby. After he fell asleep in the lobby we decided to carry him to his room and we literally put him in bed. This time he stayed there. No idea why he would lock himself out all the time. No idea why he didn't wear any more clothing. I guess drunk. But hell, he was annoying. This happened last week. Saw a really drunk Korean guy inspecting a coconut tree. Apparently he decided he really wanted to climb a coconut tree at 1 AM. I didn't see him fall. Just heard the thud. Nothing serious happened to him. He got the wind knocked out of him and passed out. The security guards tried to help but they got bitched out by his equally drunk girlfriend. She sobbed over him for a while, then I think she went to sleep on him. Saw them both at breakfast though. Just strange, but whatever. You wanna pay $200 to sleep outdoors? Be my guest. Not from me, but my sister works in the hotel biz and a colleague of hers told her about a time when a man checked in and wouldn't let anyone go into the room for over a week. They were all suspicious of what he must be doing as the corridor outside the room started to smell really bad. One day he went out, so the staff snuck in to see what was going on. I bet they wish they hadn't. He had dead fish hung up all around the room and they had condoms inside, starting from the mouth going into the body of the fish. So I think you can guess what he had been up to. I'm not sure what happened, but I've never heard anything like it. Not a hotel worker, but checked into a hotel in Covent Garden, London a few years ago. We're next in line and just about to walk up to the desk and this woman very passive aggressively tells the receptionist that there are 2 naked men in her room. I was running room service up to a room one evening. They'd placed the order half an hour before and knew the wait time, so normally people were half ready for the knock at the door. Got to this woman's room and all I can hear is giggling and whispering. Eventually she opens the door a crack and I tell her that her food's arrived. She shut the door again and more giggling. Then opens it slightly wider. I tell her I need to come in to put the tray down and for her to sign for the food, and same again. Giggling. Door closed. She then opens it wearing a towel. Get in the room. She signs and that's when I see it. A naked man in a chair in the corner, casually covering a very erect penis with a single page from a newspaper. Like this guy had over 2 minutes to change hide cover up and instead just opted for the front page of the Times. Sounds like he covered his Washington Post. A couple checked in. Left the room destroyed. Henny bottles. Jack bottles. Weed. Mattress was flipped and torn. Sheets had a shitty blood mix on them. Took us forever to get the room in order. I work front desk at a hotel. I wasn't there for this but heard it through a coworker. An older man about 40s or 50s apparently needed to use the bathrooms very badly and didn't have time to make it back to his room or even to the lobby bathroom. So what does he do? He finds the nearest housekeeping closet that's open, then proceeds to squat and shit in a random bucket. The worst part? The thought of her just silently watching. I used to work in room service and saw a lot of weird stuff. I've been asked to pour ice buckets over naked prostitutes in a bathtub. These were VIP return guests. Somebody also asked me to deliver a banana, olive oil and cream to their room. Once I was working New Year's Eve and a lady shut the door behind me when checking her minibar fridge. Closed her eyes and started having premonitions about me meeting my husband in the next year. It was super strange, however I was too polite to leave. Met my husband exactly a year later on New Year's Eve at the hotel. Had a guy wander into our employees only kitchen completely naked. I sent him back to his room. He gets on the elevator and I think that's the end of it until I have to use the elevator a minute or two later. He's just standing there. So at that point I call the police to help sort it out. I worked at a hotel that had ice machines on each floor. Our ice machines were not the type where you push a button to release the ice. Instead, you open up the bin and scoop the ice out. Every month or so, Maintenance would remove all the ice and thoroughly clean the bins. 1 month. We found a used condom in the bin. This guy brought a middle-aged hooker with him. Couldn't do anything as she was included in the reservation, and they were making a lot of noise at 2 AM and I received a noise complaint. I went to talk to them, guessing they were into being seen, and forced it to happen by making a ton of noise and getting caught. After high school I worked in a hotel on Miami Beach. I was young, fresh out one of high school. I was a bellhop in the hotel down there. One day we got a call to move a guest out of his room. I went up to the room, knocked on the door, and when I opened it the guest has spray painted the entire room gold. He said it was 24 karat gold because he stayed in hotels in Saudi Arabia that were solid gold. So he wanted to make his room look like that. He spray painted the bedsheets, light bulbs, bathroom, everything in that room was gold. They moved him into a hotel down the beach and didn't tell them. As a former night auditor, I saw a dude on prom night who decided to rip up a length of the carpet and run around the hotel wearing only that instead of clothes. For example, people would definitely smash up rooms for fun too, and that sometimes includes painting with their poo. We were a really cheap hotel near a club district in Montreal with no security guard. Worked there for just over a year. 3/10 would not recommend. Not a hotel worker, but I was staying in a central London budget hotel one Sunday evening whilst working away. The poor receptionist was extremely busy dealing with complaints as I was waiting to check in. Felt sorry for the poor guy. I got my key and headed up to the room after a busy day traveling working. Got to my room to find something wasn't quite right. The bed wasn't made. I was like, okay, no problem. I will make it. Turned the light on to find condoms everywhere. I mean everywhere. Like must have been nearly 30 of them. All used. In the bed. On the floor. In the sink. Toilet. Kettle. I went back downstairs and explained the deal to the poor stressed receptionist. Got a new room. Also, staying at a hotel last year. Took a bath. Next minute the phone is ringing. Apparently bath water is leaking from my room into the reception downstairs. Free upgrade to the new renovated bridal suite for me. In our carvery dinner room, Sunday roast dinner restaurant setup. Woman changed her baby's poopy nappy on the white tablecloths and left it there for me to clean up. Then complained that I didn't clear her dinner dishes promptly enough for dessert. I went on break and pieced the FCK out of there. Also in a separate day in the same part of the hotel, a guy died after his dinner and sat dead with families coming through for their Sunday dinner with a dead guy in the restaurant for a good 30 minutes before we realized. I am a night auditor at a hotel. The strangest is the caller who calls between 2 and 4 AM. Asks to reserve a room, then talks about masturbating and some other very inappropriate things. You can hear him jerking it in the background. I have told management about this and they still have yet to block his number. The grossest thing I have witnessed was a woman in our business center who was picking at her crotch, legs and feet, and proceeded to eat whatever she had picked off. I thought she was masturbating at first, but she was absolutely not. She did this for over 3 hours. I told housekeeping to sanitize that room, bleach everything. I worked in a hotel for about 2 years and saw so many disturbing and odd things. One of the worst. A man was staying in a room by himself during the week on business. He was well dressed. Very polite. Typical businessman. He checked out and the housekeepers went to work. Nothing unusual from the room until she got to the shower. She sprayed and wiped it down and turned on the shower to get the excess cleaning solution. Then she noticed it wasn't draining. Our tubs all had the stoppers that you push to close. Pushed open. She pushed it to see if it was just closed. Pushed it back up to open and up came shti. She continually had to push the stopper up and back, getting little bits of shti here and there, and then got the handyman to take the stopper completely out. It took hours to clean the pipes of all of the poop the man shoved down the drain. It was disgusting. But also impressive that he did such a good job getting it all into the drain that she didn't notice until the tub wouldn't drain. Current night auditor. I was working at a hotel in Montana during the winter a few years back. Had a pretty bad blizzard one night, 30s in temp, and I found footprints in the snow outside during a walk. They led me to a naked man who had busted into our housekeeping room. I quickly contacted police who happened to be around the block. Found out the next day that he had broken into someone's garage and been up, enjoying some choice magazines before the owner of the house's garage caught him and chased him out where he ran to the hotel. I heard this one in a podcast once and it's my favorite story. A guy called a travel agency wanting a refund because this happened. He was getting physical with his girlfriend and wanted to roleplay. He put Rod Stewart's "Do Ya Think I'm SI" on his phone on replay. Then he ties the girlfriend tight on the bed. He then changes into a crotchless Spider-Man costume. He then stands on the counter and falls off and breaks his leg and is immobile in the corner. So now the guy can't get up. The girl can't get up. And "So Ya Think I'm SI" is playing on repeat for like an hour. Funniest story I ever heard. I'm not a hotel worker but this is relevant, I promise. I'm a police officer and got a call to a hotel where a woman wouldn't leave her room after checkout. Got staff to unlock the door and the woman was sitting naked on the bed and had shatter everywhere. It was even on the ceiling. There were skid marks of tea on the floor where she'd slipped in it. There were about 5 empty wine bottles, so I guess she drank so much her bowels just said "FCK this, I'm done." As I opened the door she slowly slid sideways, landing her face on the pillow. Also covered in tea. So that was special. Not a hotel worker, but a hotel story. Guy I knew was a BMX stunt rider and would travel with his buddies to different parts of the country to ride. One guy in the crew was obsessed with tea. He would take a dump in a Pringles can and walk around offering to people who thought nothing of it until they pulled their fingers out covered in his poop. As the story goes, he comes out of the hotel bathroom with a plate of his poop. Says he'll be right back. Comes back to the room without the plate and tells everyone he's ready to go. The group figured he left it in front of someone's room or on the concierge counter. Whatever it was. They go on riding. They come back hours later to a lobby full of people, complaining and yelling at the staff. The stench hits them the minute they walk in. Turns out he put the plate in the microwave used by the guests for a few hours. The staff brought in fans and air fresheners to rid the smell as best as they could. Not my story but a colleague's. Asian man came to reception complaining that the microwave didn't work. We didn't have microwaves in the room. He tried to microwave a pizza in the safe. I worked at a larger hotel event space. Someone accidentally let loose a lab rat in one of the rooms. The guest at least had the courtesy to call down to the front desk and let us know that they needed help catching the bastard. Maintenance. And the guest, after looking for hours, could not find the rat and eventually gave up. We had multiple call downs to the front desk over the next few weeks from terrified guests who spotted our naked-tailed friend. I don't know if they ever caught that giant rat. This is one of many absurd stories that came out of that place. A woman checked in for about a week, as she was being treated at the local hospital down the street. She refused room service for the majority of her stay. And when she checked out, housekeeping discovered that she was basically incontinent. There was excrement all over the sheets, getting through to the mattress. She sat in her room on her bed all week, not getting up to use the bathroom. And yes, she got hit with an extra cleaning charge.